Hello, everybody. It is your Professor Rocco, you boy, coming at you once again with another Age of Sigmar video. In this class, as you can see, we're in the digital realm of TTS, Tabletop Simulator, doing a fan request, believe it or not, about how to deploy using a Beast of Chaos army that is mostly a melee army, because when I did my deployment video for 3rd edition, it was focused around Stormcast that had deep striking and armies that had shooting, and it was something that I'm more familiar with because I play. But I was challenged, asked to do this kind of an army and this kind of build. I did make the list up myself, but it is a beast build that I've actually recommended without going into a subfaction. Going subfaction list, taking a command trait for yourself here with the believe it or not, a Dragon Ogors Shaggoth that's gonna have the Adamantine scales for +1 to the save characteristic, and the, while it still exists, Amulet of Destiny. Why am I saying this? Because I'm future-proofing this video! Yay! So the battle plan I've got set up here is Tectonic Interference. With 3 objectives. You roll off between battle rounds to see which objective is important. It's old shifting objectives from 2nd edition. For those of you that are coming over from there and have been just still getting used to 3rd edition, this is a nice, straightforward. A lot of tournaments use this because, again, it's a nice, straightforward deployment. You fight in the middle. Generally, everybody has a good time. So we're going to just start off with here. In my list, I've got 2 units of Best Ogor. I've got my general here, the Shaggoth, 2 units of the Dragon Ogors. They have, they're in 6s. They are actually meeting the new, like, how close the models got to stand next to each coherency. They're getting the new coherency rules down pat. The front 2 have 1-inch weapons. The back guy has a 2-inch reach, so he can just whack over his friends there, and they all get into combat. Minus the claws on the back guy, but yeah, the unit's fine. We've got 2 units of Ungor Raiders. They have the bows. I've got a unit of Ungor, shout out to my friend Bradley. He calls them his barbecue boys that are going to be the sacrificial lambs to the slaughter of the Herdstone. I've got a couple of great Bray-Shamans, one there, one over here. The one in the middle has Vicious Stranglethorn. The one on the right, I don't even remember because he's just there to cast my Wildfire Taurus. It's actually the -1 to save characteristic spell. But, you know, I still like saying that. I've got a Gorgon, 2 Cockatrices, and again, that Wildfire Taurus, so that's the army. Will this survive the winter update? That'll probably be in a couple weeks. Probably not. Points will change. And then I'll get comments on this video saying, Rocco, this list isn't legal. And I'll be like, thanks for commenting for the algorithm. Like and subscribe as well, and share this video with your friends. Viewer. So, class. Why should we be focusing on melee armies and what this is all about here? Like, why? Just why? The answer is, especially if you're playing in a shooting meta-heavy army, kind of a time here. You a lot of Lumineth Realm Lords, Seraphon. As the melee army, you need screens. A lot of the problems that you run into here are going to be fixed in list building to give you the tools to deploy properly. And this is what I did was a double battle regiment to be a 2-drop, but a lot of times Beast of Chaos players specifically, or really just a lot of armies, want a 2nd artifact. So you're gonna be outdropped by that 1-drop Lumineth Rumlet army that wants to go first, or someone's gonna force you to go second so they can double turn you. So it's like, what do you do with that? Well, you build in tools for your army and you deploy them smartly in order to actually be able to use them. So Beast of Chaos do have an ambushing rule. It's probably one of the weakest ambushing rules in the whole game, but you can put your units that are like Gores, Ungores, and Bestigores and have the keyword for them in reserve. They come in off of the table edge within 6 inches of the table edge, 9 inches away of enemy units. At the end of the first turn's movement phase, you can take a command trait or take the Dark Walkers sub-faction to make that the second battle round. And Dark Walkers lets you Deep Strike Bestigor and I believe Dragon Ogres. Not Bestigor. Well, Bestigor, yes. They let you Deep Strike Bulgor. There we go. Those are the words. That's not getting edited out either, so enjoy that. I'm going to be the rambling professor today. So, the thing about this is I, in my head, know I'm playing the glass cannon that is Beast of Chaos, right? And I'm probably going to be made to go first because my opponent wants to get the double turn on me. Or if they're a shooting army that thinks they can just alpha me off the table, they're going to go first. And as the Beast of Chaos player, I kind of want to go second. And I've got reasons for that. The main reason is half my army is going to die anyway when they go first, right? That's just, they're just going to go and alpha strike me, shoot me, magic me, whatever. I have 2 heroes near the Hearthstone that could sacrifice units for me to get my summoning points, which is nice. I have pregame moves with Youngor Raiders that honestly can get them with their 6-inch movement onto the 2 edge objectives of this particular battle plan. So if I'm not going first and I want to push up my screens and be cheeky, I could just move on to an objective and say, hey, come take it, and try to overextend to me. But more importantly, I do have my, again, screens up front. I've got every unit. I got the 2 cockatrices, which people are afraid of, but they're only 95 points, and if they die, that's just their model I can use again to summon when I have 5 primordial call points, which will be battle round 2, you know, if I roll decently for my sacrifice here. But most importantly, you'll see that the back corners here are actually empty for me. What I've done is I've made little pockets for the 9-inch away deep striking, where I can either push these Ungor Raiders back with my pregame movement to screen out my opponents if they have to come through a table edge, and again, they're taking first turn, and their main thing is deep striking. So it'll actually protect my whole army with 2 90-point units. Because my whole back table edge is very screened off. And if they want to come in at the very far points of this, they're going to have to charge around terrain there, or just be caught out so close that my Gorgon will actually be able to do something in the game and come in on them. And I've set up traps for my opponent to fall into. The Dragon Ogors here, which I will forever be calling Drogers, and for the rest of this video, I will refer to them as Drogers. They're very tanky, and they're actually the anvils for my army. The whole point of this army is, if I could go second in this first battle round, it will protect my Bestigor, my offensive hammers from being killed. If I am made to go first, and my opponent didn't give me a good opportunity to deep strike behind their lines and jump them, I have room in my deployment when I go to push everybody up, because the Drogers even get a hero phase move, which everyone forgets about. We've got the Great Bray-Shamans giving extra movement to my Gore units. Again, it should be the Bestigor, should be the Ungor, and normal Gores, to my understanding, to make them go even faster. And I've got a little bit of shooting to threaten if I'm given first turn. But the important thing is, as I move up, then I can have, as a second wave of my army coming in, my Bestigor, which I will then be able to screen out while still holding all 3 of the objectives, because I'll just have enough movement. So I'll have the Bestigor and then the Gorgon just chilling in the back. I'll probably pop out Bestigor around here. and have my left flank be my strong side if I don't get a good charge target. And a lot of my threats that you'll see here are centralized. You know, the two cockatrices with their flying 12-inch movement can just hop over the buildings and shoot whatever I need to shoot. And if I, do good on the 4-ups, I could do some nice mortal wounds on something up front. I can, again, very cheaply push my 90-point units of cockatrices and Ogor raiders to hold points for me, so that when they die, that's the trade. My opponent will probably use a few hundred points to kill them, which will leave my tanky Drogers and my very killy Bestigor ready to countercharge and just gum them up in the middle of the board. Now, is this a good idea with all this? Yes. I mean, all my stuff is going to die, and they're just going to kill me and shoot me anyway. Why am I not moving up the board to try to pin them on their half? Why? And if they do move up the board, in the middle of the board, in a couple of battle rounds, they'll be in my Hearthstone range. So the Hearthstone range starts at 6 inches off, and then for each battle round, it adds another 6 inches to it. It's Battle Shock immunity for my stuff, which again, I'm flooding the middle of the board, where this will be very effective. And also -1 to the save characteristic of my opponent's units. So it's effectively giving me an extra Ren. If I force my opponent, because again, I'm going to be trying to play the middle and the left of this board here with these Bestigor coming in and crashing down. While if my opponent, again, is deep striking, I left them this far corner, far away from the objectives, and it's just a trap where I'm going to leave them in the dust. But if I can force that fight in the middle, eventually, through my summoning, I'll be able to last long enough for them to be effective by all my debuffs. Also, my Great Bray-Shaman, where he's positioned, can use his spell to hit this Ophidian Gateway here. And his spell affects units that are nearby, and they take mortal wounds. So I'm going to have several long-range threats from my shooting and my movement. I'm going to be able to screen out the middle of the board and control literally my deployment zone and the no man's land between us. And if my opponent has deep striking of their own, like, say, Stormcast deep striking, I'm just going to have so many bodies, they're not going to have anywhere to land. And I will choke them out of space to put their own stuff, so that by that battle round 3, it'll be dead. Will that work out? Most times, probably not, because Beasts of Chaos units tend to die pretty quick. But I'm in a very good position for my summoning and to generate depravity points from multiple sources. Not depravity, primordial call points. I'm already thinking of Slanesh because I'm thinking cockatrices. But I'm going to generate enough summoning points, either from hurting my own hero, hurting the unit of Ogor, rallying them back potentially, that I should be able to get 2 or 3 good summons of something. Whether it's a couple of cockatrices, and I'm bringing in a unit of Bestigor again to be hammers. From this deployment, I am able to project power. It's a lot of offensive power with barely defensive power. But the Drogers are tanky enough that when the rest of the unit dies, I'm still going to have some. And the fact that they don't really have Rend is going to be mitigated by the fact that by the time they're fighting something serious, the Hearthstone will be there with its large aura to give them the Rend to make them matter. And then when everything else is dead and it's just Drogers fighting, I'm going to have Rend 1 on their regular weapons, and then the 2-inch reach guy already had Rend, so he'll be Rend 2. Smacking fools. And hopefully by then I would have run up the score with all my board presence. And all that's possible because of how I did this deployment of being centralized with enough stuff. I'm playing for 2 objectives out of the 3 here. I'm in a lot of these scenarios too. They're, hold 1 objective, hold 2, hold more. With this particular battle plan, it's not. But I never want to play for the whole board anyway, because I just won't ever have the bodies, no matter what army I play, to do that. So I'm concentrated enough in the middle I can go to my left or my right. And this, I'm particularly favoring my left. And And if anyone does try to go at me on my right, they've got to charge around a building, which normally would be a 9-inch charge, or they got to be 9 inches away from me, but because they got to get around a solid wall, that's going to be like an 11 or a 12. And it's functionally just a dead zone that no one should make that charge reliably. And I don't care if they show up there. And if they show up on my left, they're only coming closer to all my stuff that can fight. And probably the most important thing out of all this is the 2 cockatrices are within range of my heroes, that they can unleash hell for me if I do get charged, and they're shooting straight mortal wounds on a 4-up. So this is how you deploy as a melee army, mostly. They're shooting, but, I guess that's how you get around that, bring some shooting in your army. But it's have your disposable screens up front, followed by your anvils, protect your hammers, because everybody and their grandmother's going to be trying to shoot them. Everyone's going to try to nuke them with magic. Have redundancy. If the other thing you might have noticed is I've got 2 units of Drogers, 2 units of Bestigor, 2 units of Raiders, 2 of the Shamans that can actually do some nice damage for me with magic, with the Doom Bull or their damage spells, or reducing armor saves as if I had Rend on my stuff that normally shouldn't have Rend. I've got a nice tanky hero in the back as well. That'll be a 3-up save with a 5-up ward. The freaking Gorgon at least looks intimidating. Hopefully he'll get a little love in a new book or a new war scroll one day. Maybe in the winter FAQ that's probably going to drop right after this video goes live. Who knows? But if I lose a piece of my army, I've got the speed and the mobility to make up for it, and I've got duplicates of everything that's important to me that I could lose. And, building redundancy, building screens, being able to throw away units that you don't care about because they're just not worth a lot of points, that people are going to have to waste, multiple units are going to have to shoot Ogor Raiders because a lot of shooting is on 3s or 4s. They can't hit everybody at the same time, and they're just going to waste activations coming closer to me so that my melee threats that are protected can pop out and hit them back. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to class. I hope my ramblings made sense. Like, subscribe, comment with any other suggestions you want me to cover. Because, again, this was a student's question of how do I do this with Beast of Chaos? And, again, I just very quick recap. Have multiple units to screen with that you don't care about dying. That's the cockatrices and the Ogor Raiders. Have layers of stuff behind them. That's the Drogers. Protect your hammers, which are the Bestigor. And know that all your stuff's going to die, but have the ability with your summoning in Beast of Chaos, having multiple heroes and stuff to sacrifice near the Herdstone, to be able to bring stuff back with your summoning points. And also, Dragon Ogors are tankier than people think. So playing to have them around your Herdstone aura to give them what is functionally Rend 1 on their no Rend weapons is really nice, and people totally forget what Beasts of Chaos can do. And also, if you don't like this build, go Darkwalkers and Deep Strike for 2 battle rounds instead of 1. And with that, as I like to say at the end of all of our episodes, class dismissed. Bye.